Hello Mathies, Gatos here. Welcome to this video on general form of an equation. Before we get into that, I just want to refresh your memory on the two forms we've already done in our past videos. First is slope-intercept form, called that because you plug in the slope and the y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. Point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, called that because you plug in the slope and a point that it passes through. So we've already dealt with those two types. Let me introduce you to a third type, which is called general form. Now this isn't as obvious with the name as to what you do, but here is what general form looks like. ax plus by plus c equals to 0. So all the numbers and variables are on one side, 0 on the other. So you're setting the equation to 0. Now, you're not just setting the equation to 0 in any way. You have to have a, the number in front of x, is a whole number. And by whole number, I mean it is positive. B and c are integers. In other words, they are not fractions or decimals. So no fractions, no decimals, and the number in front of x must be positive. So we're going to work with general form given information about a line. Now, let's try a question like this. If I have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 6, I want to write that in general form. So very first thing about general form is we're not allowed any fractions or decimals. So I see a fraction here. So the first thing that I want to do is get rid of my fraction. So see how I've divided by 3? I am going to do the inverse operation, which is multiply by 3. But it's an equation, so I need to be fair and do it to everything. So I have 3y equals, multiply by 3 and divide by 3 are inverse operations. They cancel each other out. So I'm left with negative 2x plus 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, that's step number 1. Not allowed any fractions. Step number 2, I want to set it to 0. But I want to set it to 0 so that the number in front of x is positive. So see that the number in front of x is negative. That is a no-no in general form. So I want to make that positive, which means I'm going to isolate everything to the left side of the equation. So to do that, I'm going to get rid of that negative 2x by adding 2x, and I do it to both sides. To get rid of adding 18, I simply subtract 18, and I do it to both sides. So on this side here, I have 2x take away 2x, 18 take away 18, that's now 0. On the left-hand side, I have 2x plus a 3y minus an 18. So everything on one side, 0 on the other, no fractions, no decimals, and the number in front of x is positive. So I know that is correct. So that's from slope-intercept form to general. Let's look at point-slope form to general. So very first thing I want to do is get rid of my brackets. So to get rid of my brackets, I apply the distributive property. So I have y minus 4 equals negative 3 times x, negative 3 times positive 4. Okay, so I have no fractions, no decimals, no brackets. I want to isolate so that x is positive. So I want to get rid of that negative 3x, isolate to the left-hand side. So I will add 3x to both sides. And the inverse to subtracting 12, I will add 12 to both sides. So negative 3x and 3x is gone. Negative 12 and 12 is gone. I set it to 0. And then I have 3x plus y, negative 4 and 12. That is positive 8. So everything is on one side. It's set to 0, no fractions, no decimals, and the number in front of x is positive. So that's how I go from point slope form to general form. So the question really becomes, which line equation do you use? Okay, so I have 3 different scenarios. If I am given the slope of a line and a point that it passes through, well, put those together, I would use point slope form. And then I can convert to slope intercept or general form as needed. If I'm given 2 points that a line passes through, well, I'm going to calculate the slope, rise over run, and then I can use point slope form, and I can convert to slope intercept or general form as needed. If I'm given the slope or the y-intercept, in that case, I am going to use slope-intercept form, and then I can just convert to general form as needed. So really, which equation do you use? Look at what is given. Your two choices are going to be point slope or slope-intercept. From both of those points, we've practiced both of those, you can convert it to general form. So let's try an example. Write the general equation of a line passing through -1, -2, and 3, 5. So this is an example of having 2 points. Well, if I have 2 points, no matter what method I use, I have to find the slope. So slope is rise over run. y2 minus y1, that's the rise, over x2 minus x1, that's the run. So I always label my first point as x1, y1, and my second point as x2, y2. So here's my slope. So I'm going to go 5 take away a -2 over 3 take away a -3. So my slope is 5 take away a -2. 2 negatives make a positive. That's 7 over, again, 2 negatives make a positive. 3 plus 1 is 4. So my slope is 7 over 4. So I have a slope and I have a point. So I'm going to use point slope form. Now you can use either point, but since I already labeled the first one as x1, y1, that's what I'm going to use. So my formula for point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So let's plug everything in. Keep y and x in general. So y1 is -2, slope 7 over 4, and then I have x minus x1, which is -1. So here I have y plus 2 equals 7 over 4, x plus 1. Okay, let's apply the distributive property. I want to get rid of my brackets because now I'm trying to put it in general form. So I multiply through. So I have y plus 2 equals 7 over 4 times x, and then 7 over 4 times 1. Now remember, general form has no fractions allowed. So I notice both those fractions are divided by 4. So what I'm going to do is multiply everything by 4. So I'm multiplying everything by 4 to be fair and also to get rid of my fraction. So on the left side I have 4 times y plus 4 times 2 equals, multiply by 4 and divide by 4 is inverse operations. They're gone, so I'm left with 7x. Plus multiply and divide by 4, gone, is equal to 7. So now I have no fractions or decimals, and I want to isolate everything on one side, 0 on the other, but I want to do that so that x is positive. So I already noticed right here x is already positive, so I'm going to leave it right there. So I'm going to get rid of my 4y by subtracting 4y from both sides. And I want to get rid of my 8 by subtracting 8 from both sides. So 4y take away 4y is 0. 8 take away 8 is 0. On the right hand side, I have 7x minus 4y, and then 7 take away 8 is -1. So this is my equation in general form. This is a line that passes through points -1 and 2 and 3 and 5. Let's try one last question. So in this question here, I want to again come up with the general equation of a line passing through the point 0, -6 with a slope of -2/3. Now, we totally could use point slope form because I have a point and a slope. However, that point is a very special point, and that is a y-intercept. So I know when x is equal to 0, the y value that goes with it is my y-intercept. So I know I have a y-intercept of -6. So if I have a y-intercept and I have a slope, I'm going to use slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So y equals m, -2/3, x plus b, or in this case, -6. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to now take this equation that is in slope-intercept form, and I want to write it in general form. So first thing I know about general form is I'm not allowed any fractions. So I see I have 2/3. I'm dividing by 3. So to get rid of that fraction, I'm going to multiply everything by 3. I multiply everything to be fair. So I have 3 times y equals, multiply and divide by 3, negative 2x, minus 3 times 6 is 18. So I have no fractions or decimals. To get a general equation, I want to set everything equal to 0, but I want x to be positive. So you see here how x is negative? That means I don't want x on that side. I want it on the left-hand side. So I'm going to isolate to the left-hand side. I'm going to do that by adding 2x to both sides to be fair, and adding 18 to both sides. So on the right-hand side, I have negative 2x and 2x is 0. Negative 18 and positive 18 is 0. On the left-hand side, I have a positive 2x plus a 3y plus an 18. So 2x plus 3y plus 18 equals 0 is the equation of a line that passes through the point 0, negative 6 with a slope of negative 2/3. So now you have 3 types of equations that you can use: slope-intercept form, point-slope form, and the general equation or general form of a line. But I'd have to say overall that y equals mx plus b is my favorite one-liner. So if this video helped, please give it a thumbs up so I can help more mathies like you, and I look forward to seeing you guys for the next one.